Hello everyone. I hope this time I nailed it with the sound and you can hear me right away. I hope to get better at this eventually. But let me know if you don't hear me and I will do my best to fix it. It's nice to see some of you already here. As always, I'm just stressed that I will be the only one. So thanks so much for joining, and yeah, let me know where are you from and where are you watching this live from. I'm super curious to hear. Yay. Glad to hear that you can hear. Okay, awesome. So for today I thought that, yeah, I'm kind of thinking, I'm still trying to figure out when exactly is the best time to actually stream. So perhaps let me know also what works for you the best, because I want to have a perfect timing for both you and me. And good morning. Yay. Happy to hear that this is your first one. But by the way, it's not morning for me, it's like 4 p.m. and actually there was a time change just overnight, so it soon will get super dark I think. But yeah, let me know what time works for you the best. At the moment I'm thinking mostly about Saturday or Sunday, because those are my like vacation days over the weekend. But yeah, I'm also trying to figure out perhaps morning hours of Central Europe works better compared to, I don't know, evenings. I don't know. Let me know. It would be nice to figure out something that works for everyone the best. But I'm also trying to think of like having a theme for each time that I'm doing lives, and I'm also thinking that I will definitely be doing them more often, but I want to kind of like bring in a theme so we have something dedicated to work on, and perhaps if there are people later on joining and want to learn like literally on the job while I'm actually crocheting things, then perhaps this is also nice that there is an option to look back. But yeah, last stream we did this raglan sweater, which I literally started to work together with you, and now it's actually finished, and here you can see how it looks. Perhaps if you have seen my stories, at first this one was very stiff and it didn't really fit me properly, but I knew that I want to try out steam blocking for the first time. And by the way, spoiler alert, there will be a tutorial launching I think during midnight. I have scheduled it for later, so there you will see everything from start to finish how it looked. But this is the sweater that we worked on during the previous stream, and this is how it looks. I was also thinking to just put it on so I can show you, but if you saw my Instagram stories, you might have noticed that arms or sleeves, they weren't long enough, but after doing the blocking, I managed to increase the length quite well, and also the sweater itself is a lot fluffier, and kind of like the drape itself, it also falls nicely and there isn't this like weird stiffness, so that is quite cool. So I was very excited actually about it, and I think steam blocking also kind of like blew my mind, because I'm always a little bit hesitant to block my things, because like, let's be honest, it already takes so much time to work on the project, and then to wait an extra 2 to 3 days for it to dry out with the wet blocking, I'm sometimes just not doing that part. But sometimes I also feel like it's not necessary to block every single piece, but with steam blocking I was able to finish it like within 30 minutes, I would say. And in the meantime, I was also like filming the whole thing and trying to explain, because that was literally the first time that I'm using a steamer for blocking. So I hope you will enjoy that tutorial, or kind of like try out video, but stay tuned for that. It's launching sometime soon. But anyway, that's what we did last time, so I hope you had fun, and I hope that you will also have fun this time, because today's theme is working on a beanie. And if you are already on my channel for a while, you might have seen that I actually have a beanie tutorial already, and this is how it looks. This is a super beginner friendly project, I would say, and it's very easy to make one. And for this beanie in particular, I will drop the video later, I think, just like the link that you can work on this one. But for this beanie, I basically just used chains to figure out the length of like how long it has to be to fit yourself, and then I just used half double crochets, and this is how it looks. And I published this tutorial, I think, last year, and I felt like this is like a super nice, I don't know, like Christmas project or project for Christmas or winter season in general, because you can prepare them as a gift, and in the meantime you have something nice to be working on. And yeah, so I hope that you will enjoy this stream as well, because we will be working on a beanie, but we will be using a slightly different stitch. So here you can see with this one, it is flexible, definitely, because we will be doing stitches in the back loops, just as we did for this one. But this time I have already actually started to work on the one that I'm planning to work together now. We will be doing a different stitch, which is going to be slip stitch. And by doing that, we can actually create this knit look effect, even though it is crochet. So something new. In the meantime, I'm also working for like to make a proper tutorial for this one as well, just so you have something to, I don't know, learn this a bit easier. But this is what I started to work on. So I'm also thinking that it would be nice that we can do this together, and perhaps I can just explain everything from start to finish. And then once that's done, I will just get back to this. But yeah, basically these are just slip stitches done in back loops, and it gives you this knit alike effect. Yeah, I hope you will enjoy this. And for this project, I'm using the same yarn that I did for my raglan sweater, so I'm just trying to create something that is matching. And I'm just literally also trying to use up these skeins that I have, because at first I thought that I will make like super chunky raglan, but at the end I decided to actually do like these gaps in between, so I was left with 3 skeins extra of this, and it wasn't enough to create another sweater. So this is why I'm trying to figure out all kinds of like different bits and pieces to create, such as beanie, or yeah, next week I think we could do a scarf or maybe mittens. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, this is the yarn that I'm using. I just found it in a random grocery store. It was discounted, and I think this is a good price. It is like 1.4 euros, so quite cheap. I think it is like not more than $2 if there's anyone from US. Yes, so very cheap, and that's why I basically wanted to buy a lot of this yarn. But now let's get started. And first I will just pick up a piece. I still have my yarn attached, so I'm just using the same skein and starting from the other end, and then I will just unravel it all. Hello, I'm making a beanie too, but it is doing a cobblestone beanie. That's nice, cool. Great to hear that someone else is also working on beanies. I feel like this is a great timing. And I will also turn on my other camera so you can actually see my hands. So here they are. And actually for other camera, I'm just using one of my old iPhones, because I don't feel like selling them, and I also don't feel like anyone would buy them. And in the meantime, this is a nice camera to like substitute for an actual camera. But here I have my yarn. I hope you can see properly. Let me know if I need to zoom in or anything else, or perhaps if it's easier to look like this, let me know. But first we are just starting with creating a slip knot. You can use whatever method you want, but normally I just grab a loop like this, and then I twist it and grab yarn and pull it through like this. So this kind of creates a knot and a bigger loop, and then I'm just grabbing my crochet hook, putting it on this loop and adjusting the size of it so it actually fits the hook. And now our next step is basically to do chains, and the amount of chains will determine the length of this beanie hat, so where we will have the brim and where we will have this point or the tip of the actual beanie. So what we want to do is that we want to create enough chains so it starts from here and goes here, and then also including like extra chains for having a brim. And with these materials I'm using 6mm crochet hook, but you can use any kind of yarn or hook, whatever works for you the best. But yeah, just make sure that you measure that it actually fits. And for myself, I will be doing around 40 chains, and now that I'm talking it's very hard to count along. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and we will just measure as well. 20, 30, so just 10 more. And 5 more. And by the way, I didn't mention, but if someone is super new to crochet, to do a chain, you just have to grab your yarn and pull it through the loop that you have on your hook already, like this. So 1 2 3. So now I have 40 chains in total, and it looks like this. And if I measure it for myself, it comes down to something like this. But also be mindful, because since we are going to use slip stitches, it can become a little bit tight. So perhaps add an extra chain or two if you're not sure if it's going to fit you. Because for this panel that I have already created, I also used 40 chains in total. And if I measure it, so it starts from here and then ends like here, and we are just barely making it. So, but I feel like it will be good enough, and if not, then I will do the steam blocking thing again. But just be mindful of that, because slip stitches, they might not stretch as much, because sometimes you can make them very stiff, let's say. But that is definitely fixable, as I learned with the steam blocking. But yeah, now that you have all your chains done and you're ready to go and you feel like it actually fits you, then we can proceed further with the first row. And as I said, we will just be doing basic slip stitches in every single chain that we have. And to get started, we just first have to skip this last one that we just did, and then starting from the next one, this is where we are placing our first slip stitch in. So to do a slip stitch, you just have to go through this chain, then grab yarn and pull it through, and then also pull it through the loop that you already have on your hook, like this. So here I already have a couple, and then I'm just doing the same thing inside every single chain that we have here. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, if you have me added on Instagram, I would actually be super curious to see how your beanie is turning out and how far you are. But yeah, there are actually so many ways how you can create beanies in general. I also want to make at some point a video where you're just working from the top down, or something like that, or yeah, there are loads of ways. But yeah, now I'm just going through all the chains and adding one inside each. And also a disclaimer, if you do choose to work with this method, slip stitches are a lot smaller than half double crochet stitches, so they definitely take longer to be finished, but I think it's nice to kind of like experiment or try out new stitches for new projects. But if you want to do something or make it a lot quicker, then of course you can use different stitches. And also, like, because we are using these slip stitches, that is the way how the knit look effect is created. But if you do want to use a stitch that works up quicker, and if you if you wanted to also have this knit look effect, then you can actually do kind of like, I can show it here. You can still do your yarn over, then go through the chain, then grab yarn and then pull it through all the loops that you had. So this is basically kind of like combination between slip stitches and half double crochets, let's say. But that's another way how you can do it, and it will definitely work up quicker, but you will also have more space in between the rows that you're creating, because of course they are bigger. So it's up to you, but otherwise any kind of stitch works. I suggest normally to use single crochets or half double crochets if you just want to go with the regular beanie. Then you can do that. But this time I'm just doing this because I wanted to change it up a little bit. So we are getting close to the finish of the first row, and I will show you how it looks in a bit. And what about others who are watching? Are you working on any crochet projects, or are you following along the beanie stuff, or what's up? What are you doing? I'm curious. I also think it's just nice to crochet together with someone else. Just so you have kind of like a company, even though it's online. I still think it's fun. So now here I finished this first row and this is how it looks. And now we can start working on the second row, and basically after that we will just have to keep on repeating this second row. So I will show you how to work on it, and then from then on you will be able to just keep on repeating, and then I think I will switch back to the one that I'm working on. But here I am at the end of this first row, and to get started with the new row we just have to chain one, and then after that we can turn our work and proceed further with the next one. And now perhaps it's a little bit tricky to see with this camera and light and especially this yarn, but what we want to do is that inside every single slip stitch that we have from the previous row, we want to place in another slip stitch, but in this time, starting from now on, we will only do it here inside the back loops. So instead of going through both stitches as it is here, we are just only going through this back loop. So basically in the middle of the stitch, and then you just grab yarn, pull it through and do your slip stitches. So super easy, the same process as before. The only change is that from now on we are just doing it inside the back loops of the slip stitches from the previous row that we just finished. And this is it. After a while, like now it's not that noticeable, but after a while you will definitely start seeing that you're getting this knit alike effect. And yeah, but it does take a couple of rows to actually be able to see it. And as I said, also these slip stitches, because they are so tiny in the height of the stitch, they do take longer to see some volume actually building up, but it's fine. Okay, so here I am this far. It's not really noticeable now, but I think you got the point. So basically we just have to keep on doing slip stitches in the back loops, and we're just repeating this row after row. And every time you start a new row, you just have to chain one and then flip your work. And also be mindful of the stitches in the beginning and end of each row, because sometimes they might appear that they are hiding a little bit. So just, if it helps for you, you can also place in some stitch marker just to keep kind of like a note where you have to place in the last one or first one. making a beanie in royal blue, and first I started off with making like a ribbing for it, then puts it together, then crochet it going up. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's also a nice method. But yeah, now I just grabbed my work that I already started yesterday, I think. But I did spend like multiple hours just to get this far. And actually, if I measure the fit of it, so the goal is basically to keep on adding new, like repeating the second row for as many times as it's needed until this part is actually able to wrap around your head like this. And we also don't want to stretch it out too much, because if we stretch it out, you can see that it actually looks stretched, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be a little bit more flexible, or to have this, because if you stretch it out, it doesn't have this nice effect or nice look, and if you have it more like together then I think it looks a little bit nicer. So I will go for like being it able to wrap around my head naturally instead of stretching too much. But it's also up to you. Like if you're running out of yarn, then perhaps it's fine to just have it as more stretched. But yeah, otherwise I'm just now grabbing this that I already have, and yeah, I started working on it yesterday, I think sometime during afternoon, and yeah, it did take me a couple of hours already. I'm getting closer to the finish, but I can definitely see the difference comparing to this beanie, because I think this one I was able to finish in like 2-3 hours, not more. So there is a difference. So perhaps this is like a little beanie challenge for you. Yeah, acrylic yarn is quite stretchy. But the good thing actually about acrylic yarn is that it stretches and then it also easily comes back to the shape. Of course, if you stretch it like yourself instead of without applying any heat or whatever. So yeah, that's a good thing. And my yarn is all tangled up. And yeah, I think last time I mentioned that I learned to grab my yarn from the middle of the skein, but now since I started this example or beginning example together with you from the other end, it just got all messed up. Okay. Crisis averted, I think. And this skein is 100 grams and 200 meters. I'm not sure how much in yards, sorry, but I have already used like half of it, I think, or even more. So even though it felt like, at first I thought that I will have some leftovers, but actually no. It does use a lot of yarn like this. In terms of length, I mean. And yeah, this is what I mentioned. So here at the end of the row, like this stitch is actually hiding a little bit. So sometimes just be careful, because it might look that, oh, I'm actually done and there is nothing in there and I cannot find this stitch, but it is actually there. So here I found it, and in this way we are just making sure that the row is ending in the same length. But it does help with slip stitches. I'm just a little bit lazy now to keep on putting them in and out. But yeah, then just the same thing is also with the start of the row, because also then it might be hiding a little bit, and if you're new to crochet, sometimes it is confusing. At least I remember it was confusing for myself, because sometimes I couldn't figure out. Yeah, I get that. Sometimes I also just want to have like a quick weekend project. So yeah. But yeah, it's it's up to you. Sometimes I do enjoy something that you can just quickly finish, and sometimes, especially when I have like leftover yarn that I don't really know what to do with, then then you need like a quick and easy small project. Then it's easier like that. Or if you're just looking for something to, I don't know, spend a bit of time on while you're not busy or don't have other plans, then it's also nice like that. But otherwise, like for myself, I do enjoy small projects where you can see outcome very quickly and like the result. But sometimes I do like to have something bigger just to challenge myself. But then when you finish the big project, you're kind of like, what now? Like the life has, I don't know, ended almost, and like you have been so far apart from like not having some, like you've been constantly working on one thing, and then once it's done, um, at least for me, I feel like a little bit lost. Yeah, keychains indeed. Like that's a nice project. Actually, I follow one girl on Instagram and she's using, I think her handle is micro hook or something like that, and she's using like super tiny hook and also making like all sorts of things with it. So basically, a bigger project but made with a smaller hook. So technically, it also takes longer, but the outcome is super nice. And I think she does both like keychains and also earrings and things like that. This yarn, guys, it's crazy. You can see I'm struggling with this stitch. Yeah, I cannot find, I actually, sometimes when it is like that, because this yarn, it is very fluffy and it kind of blends together with yarn from the previous rows, and then it's hard to figure out what is actually going on. So I'm there. I need to go in here. Yeah, couldn't go in. I think I just made that slip stitch super tight. Yeah, that's why sometimes it's actually nice to have multiple work in progress, like multiple projects running at the same time, because at least then you always know that you have something that you can work on. But I mean, I also have many things that I haven't finished for like ages and I keep on postponing. But sometimes it's also just nice to have like a little break from something bigger, because yeah, I don't know. And yeah, now it feels like I'm working quite quickly on these stitches and rows, but it's not building up as quickly. And here the weather, actually, this is why like during last stream last weekend on Saturday that I didn't have any like extra light on, but now since we did this time change and it's also getting uh, just naturally a little bit darker, and also today it's been cloudy and rainy constantly, um, it's already quite dark and it's only 4:30 in the afternoon, so it's insane. I feel like I won't see sun for, I don't know, a couple of months. hope it's a little bit better where you are. Now I feel like it's going fast. Maybe I just got used to it. Had some practice. But yeah, this is a skein that I will probably just use for this beanie. Then I have 2 more left, and I think it will be exactly like good amount for working on a scarf that will be matching with this, and also mittens. So yeah, let me know if it's actually something that you would be interested in to be looking me working on during next stream, because I'm happy to like spend a little bit more time so I'm able to explain more in detail what exactly needs to be done, and then we can work on the same project together. But we are also able to just crochet whatever. But I do feel like it's nice to have kind of like a theme of the stream, or at least I just do my my projects and then I also try to teach you how to do them. Yeah, beanies are so nice. I actually, the tutorial that I have on my channel, I can see that the views of that tutorial have increased since now the colder days have started. So definitely also nice for the season. But yeah, also sweaters. I've made so many actually, especially the raglan ones. I started with a raglan shrug during summer, which was more like a mesh, and then I made a filet crochet raglan sweater, and then I was like, okay, now the colder days are starting or approaching, and we can actually work on some sweaters like this, which I think is quite nice. Like, I was doubting myself quite a lot when I worked on it at first, because I wasn't sure if like the mesh look will come together nicely, but now, especially after blocking, I think it looks really nice. But now I also feel a bit sorry that I don't have enough yarn to make like a proper sweater and have all the stitches filled, but it's not a problem to get more yarn. I also have to remind myself to actually check out this camera, because I feel like I'm moving on the side and then you're not able to see what I'm doing. But after the stream, I think I will also create a poll to figure out what time works the best, because I know that I have subscribers here from different places, so I kind of want to cover all, or if not all, then multiple ones, or also just try to maybe switch around a little bit. Maybe have one in the morning and then next week in the evening, something like that. Because I also feel like for myself, I'm kind of like, I don't know, low-key morning person. I feel like I have more energy in the morning, then during the day I start to feel a bit lazy and I really have to push myself to start doing something, and then in the evening I get again like extra energy. But in the morning it would be nice, because now during the day I was like, oh, I have to get ready, I have to be prepared. Like, spend the whole day thinking about having this stream. So maybe, yeah, I will test it out on myself as well. And we are almost done with this row as well. and I'll just try it on, because I also feel like we are now approaching the phase where I have to start monitor how it looks. Okay, this is when I'm not stretching it, and when I'm stretching, it actually already reaches, but that's not what I want. Something like this, I don't know, it could be like 20 extra rows in between. I think for the ribbing, there is also like a way that you can fold it, or but if you said is it for this project or for your project? Because if you did it already in the beginning, then you can kind of measure it and already see what looks better. But yeah, for this one that I'm working on, since it's going to be just folded once we are done, that's why it's a little bit tricky to find out the size at first. But in most cases, you either have it, like, it's better to have it a little bit longer. That's what I always say, because then it's easier to shorten it. But also, if it's too long, then you can just fold it an extra. Yeah, if it's too long, then it might be weird. But that's the good thing. Like, if you start with it, then you can already measure in the very beginning how it looks and what's the best. But yeah, I would say shorter is better, but there is also like this sweet spot, I would say, because also too short isn't that good. But it could be like, if it's short, it could be like a nice touch, I would say. But yeah, too long for sure. But then you can kind of also then fold it a little bit, or like just on the sides, or I don't know. But I do feel like that I will manage to finish all of these rows during this evening. Yeah, I also started to recently watch a new TV series. I mean, it's not that new. It's called The White Lotus, and I'm already on season 3. I only started to watch it on Friday evening, I think, and yeah, now I'm already like in the beginning of season 3, so I think it won't take me too long to finish all of them. But it's quite nice show, I would say. Like, for me, it's always addictive to to see that there is some drama happening in the very beginning. So I spend the whole show thinking who could be it. But I'm happy that I finally started to watch this, because everyone was recommending it, and I'm running out of documentaries and series in general, and I just keep on watching the same thing. Yeah, exactly. That's why I like sharing what I'm making, because even if you learn or take away just a little bit of what I'm doing, then you can use it for your own and adjust it in like different ways and create something new. Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And like, so many methods, so many stitches, so many things that you can combine together and create something different. Like, for example, this stitch, I'm just working on it to make a beanie, but you could easily just use it for everything. Like, whatever comes to your mind, like just creating a sweater or something, or just using this as a ribbing, actually, for like sleeves or cuffs or hems, etc. Because especially at the bottom of the sweater or something like that, this is quite nice to, like, also if you're working on a stitch that is more like wider, then if you add this at the very bottom, then it kind of like has this balloon effect, I think. And also this would be nice, kind of, I'm thinking about mittens. Maybe I could make the like the cuff with this stitch and then proceed further with the actual hand part with like regular stitches. That's an idea. Have something that is matching. For scarf, like if I will end up making a scarf with this yarn, I will definitely use a different stitch though, because then it will take so long. Because like only this, like I imagine that scarf would be like half of this approximately, and with this I'm only able to like wrap it up twice. Oh, but oh my god, this is such a nice like neck thingy. Yeah, this is cool. Yeah, this for a sweater, that would be nice. I think what I will do is I will keep on trying it on after every row. Then you can also see how it's progressing. And actually recently, or not that recently, last year I also made a tutorial for having kind of like a headband, which is also of course for winter, but I made it also in a way that you can either use it for your neck or you can push it up to your forehead. So you can use it in two ways, but I think this is also an option with this stitch that you could do. Because yeah, it looks so nice. Definitely. And since it has this stretchiness, I think it's a good option. And now here I am at the end of the row and I'm struggling again. Yeah, so maybe stitch markers is a good option because then you don't have to keep on poking these stitches. Okay, let's check it out. Something like this. Oh, hello to Belgium. Oh, thank you so much. And thanks for being here. Yeah, I think for me it's always exciting to also hear from where people are. But yeah, welcome to the crochet journey. I'm happy to have you here, and yeah, super happy to hear that you're also following my tutorials and find them useful. Thank you. And the star, is it like for a granny square, or is it just a general star, or something that you can build into a blanket? A lot of questions. Because I've seen the ones that you start with like a tiny star and then you add more and more and more rows until you can have it kind of like as a throw for for a sofa or whatever, or just under over your bed or similar. But yeah, I was also talking about granny squares during last stream. I also mentioned them, and there were a couple of people who said that that's how they started their crochet, and that's how they also found me. But yeah, for myself, it was also granny squares that first brought me into crochet, and then I started to figure out lots of different things. Because I also feel like with granny squares, it's kind of like easy to pick up and learn all the stitches that are there. because since they are like so customizable and there are many things that you can build into a granny square, and you just naturally end up using loads of different stitches into one tiny project, and that is like a good practice, I think, for newbies in general. I have to stop making my slip stitches too tight. Like initially I wanted for this to be like to be able to finish all the rows during this stream, but I feel like they are not coming together so fast. But either way, I will explain everything that needs to be done with this afterwards, so you can build your beanie. And I will also link my beanie tutorial, but I can actually do it now, just in case if someone is wondering, because I did mention it just a while, or in the beginning. Let me quickly find it and I will share it. Okay, got it. Okay. And yes, here it is. So just in case, if you're curious about all the steps that are after this, then you can find them here. And I just finished another row. So the rows itself are coming together quickly, but they are barely adding any like extra noticeable volume. I would like to do a blanket, yes. I also did one or two granny squares, but it seems huge yet for me to accomplish such a big project. Yeah, I get that. I mean, the granny square itself, it's tiny, but then to create something from them, you need a lot of them. And it's a lot, especially if you want to work on a granny square blanket. It's crazy. I think I was talking about this last stream as well. So I have my sunflower granny square tutorial, and I saw a girl, she shared her blanket, and she basically made a blanket from sunflower granny squares, which is crazy because from those sunflower granny squares I also made that cardigan, and for cardigan I needed to have like 54 granny squares, and I was working on that I don't know, on that cardigan I worked like kind of like on and off because of course I have a job to be going to, so I cannot do it like non-stop, but it took me in total like at least a month, maybe two, because it was a lot of granny squares. But yeah, what I'm saying is that it took so much time for a granny square, and then for this blanket I was counting the squares, how many there were in total. I think it was 100 or 120, so imagine like double of that, and then also all of them connected together. Insane. But like if you're up for a challenge at some point, then that's a good challenge. But I also know that at some point there was someone on YouTube, I think, commenting on my videos, and yeah, this person, they just mentioned that they've been using different granny square tutorials that I have, and kind of like making random granny squares and building them into a blanket like over a longer period of time, but without stressing and without being working on it non-stop, but whenever finding a cute granny square, then just making it and putting it in a pile or already connecting with the previous one, and then just whenever there is another tutorial that pops up, then creating one and adding it to the blanket, because I think that's also so cool, to make something that is like made of loads of different styles, or something that also has a meaning, maybe. And another row finished. Yeah, no difference. And speaking about granny squares, I don't know why I want to talk so much about granny squares, but on Instagram I also saw another person. She was tagging her, tagging me in her finished posts, and she had a similar theme. I think it was whenever she finished a book, she would then make a granny square that is inspired from that book or associated with it, or like using colors that are the same as the cover of the book. So that was quite cute to see. Yeah, and then you have like whatever you decide to do with those granny squares afterwards, you kind of have a given meaning to each of them. So I think that's like such a nice project. And I'm talking so much, I'm getting super thirsty. I don't think you should be that's not the best advice, but I don't think you should be anxious, because if it doesn't work out the first time you try to connect them together, you can just start over. And there are also different methods for connecting granny squares. So when I started, I first did it with just a darning needle. I have one here, and then just use the same yarn that is on the outer border, so you can do it like that. Otherwise, you can also just crochet them together with slip stitches that I'm using now, like this. So you would basically go through both squares and then connect them together like that. Or there are also kind of like there's a way that you can, while working on the final round of the granny square, you then connect it together with another granny square and kind of like add extra volume, or yeah, size, kind of. But yeah, don't be anxious. I hope that advice helps. But I think with all of those things, you just have to practice it and try it out. And then if it doesn't work out, then just try again eventually. And it's again too tight. Yeah, that's another thing, like with, if you're working on a beanie by using this method, then you just have to make sure that you're not making your slip stitches too tight, because if they are too tight, you're just not able to go through your stitches. I'm struggling a little bit with a couple of them. Okay, another row is done. Let me check. So it's something like this. I am pulling it a little bit now, but if I'm not, it looks the same almost. And I don't even know the amount of rows that I have done now, but it's also a little bit difficult to count them all. Yes. Yeah, please let me know how it turns out with the granny squares and blankets and connecting them together. I always want to hear what's happening. Yeah, and whenever, like, if you're working on a project and yeah, using or inspiring from my patterns or anything like that, then just feel free to share. I'm always happy to see. Oh, and that's nice about the, yeah, definitely, like, keep on experimenting with new things, and that's how you eventually start creating patterns or like have your own design. And I just finished another row. Maybe if I measure from the other end, because I feel like the other part I stretch it out a little bit. But yeah, this is how it looks. Yeah, definitely. That's nice. Now I'm like super curious to also see what you're working on. Please feel free to share. Yeah, I just have my yarn here. Yeah, I was talking about this last time as well. I normally start to take yarn from the middle of my skein, and then eventually it just becomes like this flat thingy, but it still has like a shape of a yarn skein. And especially once you haven't like flattened it, at some point it looks, oh, it's still full and I still have so much, but actually it's just flat. And now it is 5 o'clock actually, and it's like almost completely dark. Like 10 more minutes and it will be totally dark. I feel like I'm so not ready for winter at all, because yeah, I just don't feel like I had a proper summer this year, and throughout September and now also during October I still felt like this isn't real. This is not right, this is not happening to me. No, this beanie, I started it yesterday. Because no, it's not working up this quickly. In the beginning of the stream, if you joined a little bit later, I was explaining like all the steps of how you can start it, and I have like the first 2 rows here, but then I jumped back to the project that I'm working on now, because I started this yesterday, like in the afternoon, like around noon, and then continued to work on it for a couple of hours. I think yesterday in total on this one I might have spent up to 5 hours. I did some like during lunchtime, a little bit in the afternoon, and then in the evening while I was watching my White Lotus series. but no, I was saying that since I'm using slip stitches instead of like half double crochets or other stitches as I did for this beanie, it actually takes a lot longer, and even though you're able to finish the row quite quickly, um, it doesn't bring as much volume, so it does take longer. But if I worked on the other beanie, this that I just showed, for that one I think I used around 2 to 3 hours to make it and to complete it. It was a bit faster, but it might have been also 4, I'm not sure. But it definitely was quicker. I think I made it like 2 weeks ago, and it was just like a random Sunday, and I was like, I have all this yarn that I want to use up, because from that yarn I made another raglan sweater, and I just had like just a little bit of leftovers, and I thought that that's a nice way to use them up. And I have finished another row. Let me check out. Yeah, you can see it's not bringing a lot of difference. I mean, over time, of course, you do increase, but it's not that noticeable if you check after every row. But let's just keep on going. It would be nice if I can manage to finish, but I don't think it will happen. And then if I finish it now during live stream, that just means that I'd have nothing to do while watching my Lotus series. Because like I'm now also at that stage where I constantly have to do something with my hands, and I cannot just watch TV and how give full 100% attention to TV. I feel like I have to do something with my hands, and to just have something in my hands as well. Yeah, and this is, I have never talked about it really, but there are also different ways how people normally hold their yarn. And for me, like in the beginning, I was just holding it here with my fingers like this, and then doing my stitches. But then I noticed, because I give a lot of pressure to all of my fingers, I noticed that for me it actually works better when I tie this yarn like this around my pinky, and then it helps with the tension, and I also don't have to like have this much pressure on my fingers, just in case if you're wondering. But I have also tried to, I think with this, the way how you hold your yarn, that's something like if you're being taught to do it in one way since you were a kid. So for example, for myself, I learned a little bit of crochet during, I don't know, primary school, maybe secondary school as well, I don't know. But I think I was just taught in one way, and then it was just, I have tried to do this thing where you wrap it around this finger, but I just couldn't pick it up. I feel like I'm not programmed in that way, and I cannot just learn it in another way, because when I notice that my fingers are hurting sometimes, then I try to like explore different ways how to hold it. And also, by the way, there isn't like right or wrong way. It's whatever works for you the best, as long as you can actually do stitches. But yeah, that's just something that just popped in my mind. And do you also knit or just crochet? For me, I actually only do crochet. I have done some knitting also during primary or secondary school, because that was kind of like mandatory to do. But like that's that's already then that I realized that I'm not so much into knitting, and I think because it was mandatory, I didn't really like manage to learn it, or not to learn, but to learn to love it, because we had all these, like, what freaks me out about knitting, maybe this is not a popular opinion, it's because it has so many needles that you have to use. And yeah, one of the projects that we had to do as a mandatory project was to knit a sock, or like a pair of socks. And to do that, you have to use 4 needles. And I don't know, for someone who is like, I think not more than 10 years old, I was just, I was confused. I, I couldn't comprehend. I also feel like knitting a sock as a 10-year-old child, it's a bit crazy. I mean, it's okay, but for me it just felt like a little bit overwhelming. And also as a child, I'm not sure, like, I mean, now I appreciate doing crafts and doing crochet and so on, but it was just overwhelming for making a sock, because also it includes so many different methods, and like the process of making it was just confusing for me, or like it felt too hard, or not something that you were being, at least not at that point, it didn't feel like we are being eased into making it. But I do understand that for like making something as a sweater, it might be a little bit easier. But anyways, the main reason why I haven't managed to get into knitting was mainly because of the amount of needles that you need. And this is also why I think I like crochet a little bit better, because you only have your yarn skein and one hook, and that is the only thing that you have to worry about. And you don't have to worry about if the needles will fall out, because that's what I remember with the socks, and then they fell out and I couldn't figure out where I had to put them back in, and it was just all confusing. Yeah, and actually speaking about it, this is kind of like a funny topic. I don't know, I feel like some childhood drawer just got opened. But yeah, besides socks, we also had to make uh, like a sweater or a vest, and it had to include like a fancy stitch. And I remember I was not liking it at all, and I chose to do a vest because I think it had to include like different elements, kind of like having hems and some sort of ribbing, and also like a fancier stitch in between. And I did this one that is kind of like a braid of 2, and then it goes together like this. But it's, now that I think about it, it's crazy that they made us do it. And like I was talking with my friends back then, and most of them said that their parents are helping out, or like their mom is helping to knit a sweater or socks. And yeah, and I don't think my mom did it. I never asked. I was struggling with that tiny vest. I don't think it would even fit a like newborn. uh, it wouldn't fit anyone, maybe a doll, that was it. But I was struggling so much with it, and no one was helping me. And then everyone else's parents were knitting their projects and getting good grades. I think this is like a childhood trauma or something. But yeah, hello to Greece. Nice to see someone from a warmer place. In Greece, it must be warm now compared to here, I think. We actually, this summer we went to Cyprus, and I was surprised to learn that there are so many things in common with the Greece. Like, I didn't know about the anthem that was a real surprise for me. Oh, I finished a row, but I forgot to show the progress. Anyway, let me quickly finish this. I was occupied with all the talking about knitting. But like, to be honest, I would like to try it out now because I feel like I have more knowledge or patience to handle multiple needles at the same time now than I was than when I was 10 years old. But I would like to try it out. But I'm also a little bit like freaking out to picking up a new craft, and then because it can get addictive to, like, the same as with crochet, it can become super addictive to like learning a new craft. And yeah, I'm just worried that I will go all in and then I will abandon crochet totally. But yeah, also at this stage I'm kind of like, I have to limit the amount of hobbies that I have, because even crochet itself, it takes so much, quite a lot of my free time, which I love, but then it also means that I don't have as much free time for all the other things that I would like to do. So sometimes I'm like, do I really have time for this? I really want to do it, but I'm not sure. But maybe sometime soon I will try knitting too. Maybe just like a easy project, a scarf. And I think it looks like, in camera at least, on the side of my screen, that I'm struggling. But some of these, I keep on making them a little bit too tight, and maybe I need more light as well. Actually, yesterday I just went to a grocery store, and they had some like knitting and crochet things. And let me quickly show you. I just put it here. I still need to buy some batteries to be able to work, or to make it work, but I bought this one. It was super cheap. I think it was just below €3, so very cheap. And I bought one for myself and one for my grandma, because I know that she does a lot of sewing. Oops. she sews a lot, and I think it would be nice, like a nice little gift for her. But yeah, I'm curious to try it out, because now, since it's getting darker, it would be nice to just use it for yeah, during winter. Because also with this yarn, it's very hard to see all the stitches, because you can see it's quite fluffy, so it's not that visible in darker. But I still need to buy batteries. That's why I haven't used it. Maybe during next stream I will show you how I can work with it. But I just finished another row, so we are getting closer. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and also I think it's once you learn new craft, and once you think that it's like, once you feel more comfortable with it, then it's almost like, why should you go back to something else? But I understand that maybe it's more noticeable, the mistake that you make. But even with this beanie, it happened yesterday. Sometimes in crochet, yeah, you can notice things earlier, but it's also when you're in this pilot mode, sometimes you just miss things and then you check later, and then you notice and you're like, oh my god, I cannot unsee it. But yeah, yesterday I was also working on this, and I realized that I have skipped a couple of slip stitches, probably because I made them a little bit too tight, and then I was like, since I saw it now, I cannot not see it, so I have to go back. And yeah, I had to unravel just a couple of rows, luckily. But maybe you're right. I'm not sure about the mistakes in knitting, but it could be. But I think the main problem is once you see it, you cannot not see it. Just trying to find the right spot to be able to show you in camera. But I like my dream still is to have like a proper crochet studio, or even just a corner where I can do all my things, because now I'm always sitting like in a weird spot. I'm just here on the floor, and then I have to try to figure out how and where I'm going to place all the cameras and so on. It's easy since like the main one that I'm now looking at, it's from my computer, but like the other one is just from a phone, and then I don't have like a proper phone stand. So I also have to figure out how to see it. It would be nice to have something from the top to look down, and yeah, maybe sometime soon. Just pulling some more, and last 2 stitches, and then this row is done as well. Okay, let's have a look again. So now we are close, I feel like, and I haven't really stretched it, but if I do, then it's already wrapping around. But let's do at least like 5 rows. I think that's actually doable, and then I will explain you everything that needs to be done. Otherwise, in this chat you can find the link to the video where I have everything step by step. It's a different stage that I'm using in that video, but everything else is pretty much the same. Okay, let's do it. Let's try to do 5 more rows, and then let's see where we are, and then I will explain you everything that needs to be done. So this is row 1. Yeah, good question about how I learned crochet. So I learned some basics when I was in primary school, so it wasn't like because it was mandatory to do all sorts of crafts, and actually it was mostly for girls that had to do all these hand crafts. So I did learn like basics back then. So once I started again, when I jumped back on crochet, it wasn't like a big surprise of how to do like chains or single crochets, double crochets, everything else. Like I just needed a little reminder, and then I was able to quickly understand how it has to be done. So actually in that way it's good that you have these learnings and kind of like memories from childhood, because then it was very easy to pick it up. But how I started, it was just through videos. I felt like it was easier to follow along when someone is showing you like right away, and you are seeing how it has to be done, and you can also try to mimic it in a way that you're supposed to. Because sometimes I feel like if you're very new to crochet, then it's not that easy, and also like depending on the pattern and so on, not everything might be explained in a way that you would like, especially if you're just starting. So yeah, for me it was videos. And I think my first project, because I started sometime late spring, early summer, I really wanted to do a bikini top. So that was basically my very first project that I did. And then, yeah, the rest is history. No, I just realized, like, as I was learning, there were also a lot of things that I felt like doesn't really make sense, or maybe someone could explain it a little bit better, or like if I did ever a tutorial, like, because I was learning from videos, it helped me to see it from someone else's perspective of how it should be done. So that kind of also made me curious to try out, like, first of all, try out experimenting with different stitches and patterns, and to create my own designs. And then later on I had more courage and also kind of like understanding of what should be included in the video tutorial if you're trying to teach someone else. But yeah, definitely videos for me, because I needed that. I think I'm just like a visual learner. I mean, books and patterns also include more materials, but like in a video you're able to like see exactly where the hook goes and so on. Or also it helps that you can just follow along, and yeah. Okay, this is the second row of these 5 that we're working on. Let me check again. Now it feels like it's further apart, but no. Let's just do these 5 together, and then I will explain all the next steps. I'm talking so much, I feel like I'm super thirsty. But right before this stream I also had a workout, so maybe that's the that's the reason why I'm also a little bit dehydrated. Although whenever I'm exercising I drink a lot of liquid, and it's like I normally used to do a lot of cardio exercises, but now I started to do strength training mainly, because yeah, it was recommended for me, because I have to build some muscle. And now with that I feel like I'm drinking even more, and I also feel like my heart rate is actually higher, if not the same for sure, with these strength exercises as well. And I normally actually exercise at home. I feel like, or maybe that's just something I picked up during COVID, that when you couldn't go anywhere in public, and I still have some equipment at home, so for me it's always easier to do it from home. I don't feel like I need extra motivation for like leaving the house, but I feel like I will soon start going to an actual gym, because the strength exercises that I'm doing, they require some dumbbells, and I'm getting stronger. So I feel like I need more like bigger dumbbells and like maybe some machines. But otherwise I actually really enjoy doing like different classes and aerobics and I don't know, jumping around and stuff like that. But with strength exercises, I like the moment you start to feel that you're actually getting stronger, I think that's the motivation to keep on going. Okay, row 2 from these last 5 that I'm doing. Let's check it out. I think one side is more stretched than the other, that's why it looks a little bit different. But this is row 2, so let's do 3 more. Oh, I have my washing machine like doing the full spin. I'm not sure if you can hear it in the background, but it is a little bit noisy. I hope the sound is being blocked out. I think it's not. I can see like I have the sound bar, and when I stop talking, it's still jumping up a little bit. I hope it's not too noisy. Maybe I will check back later to see. But actually, still speaking about learning crochet with books, now that I picked it up, like after, like when I started first with videos, after that I actually bought some books with like loads of different stitches and so on. So I feel like it also depends on the person, whatever works the best. But eventually you end up with books anyways, at least for me. I have this one super nice book. It has only graphs and only different stitches, or like ways how you can do stitches, and that is super nice. But I feel like if you are a beginner, you wouldn't be able to understand what this book is about. But yeah, it has like all sorts of different fancy things. Whenever there is like a tighter stitch, I can feel my lips going like this. That's like a habit that I have, and now since I'm live and you can see me on the video, I feel like I'm more self-conscious of my face in general, and like I can feel this whenever I have these slip stitches where it's not like super easy to go in. Oh, that one I actually haven't tried. I wanted to, because I think it's so cute, especially I have some friends and some colleagues who are having babies, and I wanted once to make them as a gift, but I haven't tried yet. And I think that's probably something that I will start doing when I have children of my own at some point in life. But no, I haven't tried. But I also feel like maybe a little bit intimidated by that, because I feel like everything is like so small and like different things and features and so on. But I'll try it soon. Okay, I finished third, and this is how it's looking. So let's do 2 more. Woohoo! But have you, or is that something that you're considering to try within crochet? Because yeah, there are so many cute things. And also works really great as a gift. Actually, many or a couple of people that I follow myself on Instagram are like mainly doing that, and it's always really like inspiring to see how many like different things you can create and like mimic actual creations of how it would look, and everything looks so neat and so nice. But maybe at some point I could do a stream where I'm actually trying out amigurumis or whatever it's called. But I haven't done it. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I can try to do that on a video. Like trying out something beginner friendly. Because, yeah, sometimes actually I had a funny experience during summer. I joined another girl who I also follow on Instagram, and she was visiting Copenhagen, so we met up here. And then she was actually like, she's doing these crochet workshops and like crochet club and so on, and basically mostly teaching beginners. And what she was doing was that yeah, she has mostly workshops for beginners, and then in the beginning, like the first class is normally where you do finger crochet, and you would work on a bag using t-shirt yarn, I believe it's called, and then you're just doing crochet with your fingers. But for me, I feel like since that's not how I learned crochet in the very beginning and I had never tried it out, it was just so confusing and I felt like I'm a total beginner. So I feel like with trying out making different crochet toys and things like that would also be like completely new world, and everything would feel so new. Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe try to like scale it down a little bit if you're struggling to finish. Like maybe try out something that is like very basic or even smaller, or I don't know, just to help you motivate yourself. Because I also feel like if you don't finish multiple things, then you at some point like over time you lose motivation. Okay, this is how it looks now, and let's do one more row, so we will have done 5 since the point that I said that we will do 5. Let's do it. But this is again like bittersweet moment, because I wanted to, like, that was the aim, to be able to work on this beanie and to finish it together with you. But now I feel like I will have finished it, and what am I gonna do afterwards? But don't worry, I have multiple work in progress projects. I started to work on another raglan sweater. I think I mentioned it last time during my stream that I just have a lot of yarn that I haven't found the use yet, and I just wanted to make a raglan sweater from another one. It's kind of like a wool and mohair blend, and the yarn is a little bit like thinner, but I'm using a bigger hook, so it will have like a lacy effect. But maybe that's also another thing that we can do during next week. Okay, I heard my washing machine is over, and now it's just beeping. That's a good timing. We once actually tried to, because sometimes we follow like the electricity rates when it's cheaper to do certain things and so on. And I thought that, oh, that's a nice idea to actually put on your laundry like during hours when it's cheaper. It was the worst decision ever, because we decided, I didn't realize how loud this washing machine is, and actually our bathroom is kind of like sharing the wall with our bedroom. So, and we set it up at like starting at 4 a.m. And it was going on for like almost 3 hours, and that was like the never again. I rather pay a little bit more than do that, because we could hear everything and it was so noisy, and yeah, it was crazy. Haven't tried that ever since, but it's nice when you can actually schedule, because that washing machine is like quite smart. for a washing machine. Oh my god, the last stitch, and it's again hiding. Okay, here it is. Let's try it on for one last time. And now you can see that without stretching too much, it is almost meeting like this. So this is how it looks. I have now created this one panel, one piece, and this is basically what we need for making a beanie. But maybe let's just recap, because I'm not sure how many people joined or sticked around since the very beginning. But let me recap and explain everything, just in case if you joined just recently or midway during this stream. So to work on a beanie, if you're not familiar, you first have to start with doing some chains. In my case, since I'm using this a little bit chunkier yarn and 6mm crochet hook, I did in total 40 chains, and you can easily measure the needed amount of chains for yourself just by starting from the tip of your head, going over your forehead, and then here you're adding some extra chains just for the brim. And I was also saying that even though for now, for myself, it appears to be a bit too much, and perhaps this brim is too much, or you feel like this part is going too far, I would advise to actually include a little bit extra of these chains, just because once you will start working on the slip stitches afterwards, they will become a little bit tighter and the length won't be as huge as it was in the beginning. And then depending on what kind of stitch you want to use, the beanie tutorial that I already have on my channel, for this one I was using half double crochets, and I was just working them inside the back loops. But since for this tutorial that I'm teaching you now, I wanted to have this knit alike effect, I was actually using slip stitches, meaning that always we are doing slip stitches, and to get this knit look, we are doing them in the back loops. So that is the only stitch that is required for this project. And then every time you finish a row, you just have to chain one, then flip your work, and then continue with doing slip stitches again in the back loops of the slip stitches from the previous row. And then basically, as you are doing that, you just have to keep on repeating it and keep on adding length and adding rows for as many times as it's needed until you create a panel like this, which you are able to wrap around your head like this. And once you are able to do that, we won't do it here together, because I'm also filming a tutorial just for this, so I want to keep something for that. But once these two ends are able to meet each other, what you want to do is that you just want to fold them like this, and then again by using slip stitches you just want to connect this part together, but this time you would just have to go through back loops of stitches from both sides. I hope that makes sense. And then once that's done, this is basically your beanie, and the very last step would be that you have to weave in yarn throughout stitches on the side here. And I would advise, like, if you do your slip stitches here and you connect this side, then don't cut off your yarn. You can cut it off, but leave like some extra, make it a little bit longer, so we are just able to work this project without cutting yarn at any point at all. But then basically you would just have to use your darning needle. Here I just have like a super big one, or pick whatever fits your yarn that you are using, or if you don't have a darning needle, you can also figure it out with your crochet hook and kind of like weave it in, go all the way around here, and then once you have reached the point where you started, that is where you would have to push this yarn, and as you would push it, you would get something like this. It would all come together. At first you might have kind of like a hole in there, or maybe it would look a little bit awkward with like having it pushed together, but then once that's done, all you have to do is just use your darning needle and sew it together to kind of like make it nice, and to also close this hole up because we don't want it to be open or to look weird. And here I have this beanie, and this is how it looks. So basically I have squeezed it together as much as I could, and then I just sewed it together. And that is basically how you make beanies. And then as you're wearing it, you can just like fold this brim and have a nice beanie. So yeah, I will leave this for finishing the actual tutorial that I'm working on, but otherwise this was basically it. Thank you so much for joining here and spending some time with me in this cozy dark Sunday that we have here. I hope you enjoyed. I hope the people who joined here had some fun as well. I hope you perhaps learned something new if it was. If not, then I hope you had a good time just by joining and crocheting together perhaps, or doing whatever you do on your Sundays. But yeah, I'm planning to do more live streams more frequently, and I will also create a poll to figure out what timing works for you the best. So stay tuned for some sort of post here on my YouTube channel, and then I will figure out when we can do the next one. But probably next weekend I will try to figure out a fun project to be working on, and by then I will also be done with my beanie, so I will be able to show you how it looks, and then we are kind of like building together a complete look by using this yarn, because also this raglan is made from the same yarn, and that is the project that we worked on during the previous week. But yeah, as always, let me know if you have any questions, any requests for the future, even if it's a tutorial that you would like to see on my channel, or if it's for one of the streams, or any questions in general. So we also have some things to talk about during next live stream. And yeah, thanks for joining. Actually, I have some news coming up during next week, which I will try to share during the live stream, so stay tuned for something exciting there. And yeah, if you did enjoy, then as always, please support me by liking my videos, watching my videos, joining here on my stream. And I also recently set up on my channel that there is a way how you can join a membership, and basically just supporting my work by contributing a little bit. Of course, there's no pressure at all. I'm just saying because I feel like I have to announce, but don't feel pressured. But if you do join, then you will get access to some cute little things, such as like custom emojis and badges. And at some point, I'm also trying to figuring out when to post like members only content and give you some early access and things like that. But yeah, I hope you did enjoy joining this live stream, and yeah, if you did, then please stick around, subscribe to my channel, and I would be super happy to see you in the future streams. And stay tuned for having that poll. I'm really looking forward to your feedback, what time works the best, and what kind of projects we can work on together during the previous, or not previous, during the next stream. But I do hope that you had fun, and let's make some more beanies together at some point soon, or something else. Thank you, and bye!